animation to HTML5 and JavaScript using the Toolkit for Create.js plugin. I have already downloaded the plugin from Adobe website, and I've also went on and created a really simple slideshow, keeping in mind the features that are supported by this toolkit for Create.js. So here we have, all I've used here is classic tweens and movie clip symbols, and I've also used layers to separate these images. So now let's go ahead and let's try publishing it to see what that looks like. So let's go to Window. This is where you will find the toolkit for Create.js. And let's just look for toolkit, and this is where we have it. So let's just open it up, and this is what it looks like. Now it's really simple. You have a publish button, and then you have publish settings. You can click here to edit your settings and to define where you want it to be saved and whatnot. And so for now, let's just go ahead and hit publish. So sure enough, it's working in the way it's supposed to work. So we're good here. So let's go ahead and go back to the timeline. And I want to show you guys what happens when you use a feature that is not supported. Let's just see what kind of a warnings you get. So I'm going to add a keyframe here, and I'm just going to drag another image from the library and place it here. So I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and hit publish now and see if I get a warning. Okay. So now seems like it was working, but then it messed up. So there we have a problem. And if you look at this output, we can see that we have warnings here. So the very first warning is layers with classic tweens must contain only a single symbol instance. Well, what it's telling us that when you use classic tweens, you can only put one symbol instance on a layer. If you want to bring in more symbols, you will have to create a new layer and place it there. So like what I did here is I just, even if it's not a symbol, if even if you have not converted to a symbol, you still can't do that. So I'm going to have to remove this because this will not work. So I'm just going to remove this frame and I'm going to publish again. So sure enough, that was the problem, and that takes care of our animation and it removes the warning for classic tweens. Now let's close out of this and let's look at this warning. Now this warning, it's telling us frame numbers in easel.js start at 0 instead of 1. For example, this affects go to and stop and go to and play calls. Well, in easel.js, which is one of the libraries that Create.js uses to write all the JavaScript coding for us when we hit publish, in that library, in easel.js, the frame number starts at 0 instead of 1. But in Flash, frame number starts at 1 instead of 0. So to be honest with you, I really don't know how to get rid of that warning, how to deal with that. And it's not really affecting my animation. It's a warning. We have to keep that in mind as well. It's not an error. So not all the warnings are going to affect your animation. So the ones that don't worry about it, don't worry about it so much, but do try to get rid of them. I was unable to find a way to get rid of this warning, and I tried researching, and I just could not find a way. So if you guys are interested in this, feel free to research and see if you can find something, and let me know because I am very much interested in this. So, anyways, well, let's just ignore this for now. Let's go back to the timeline. Now, what I wanted to do now, show you guys how to add some interactivity to this slideshow. So we'll just create a really simple play button, and let's place it on the first frame. I don't want to keep it. I don't want to make it too complex for now. So let's just go ahead and create a new layer, and on the first frame, I'm gonna put a play button. I have already created a play button. Here it's in my library. Now we gotta remember that buttons are not really supported by Toolkit for Create.js. What for Create.js would do to any button that you create is that it would convert that to a movie clip symbol. So instead of creating a button, I just went on and created a movie clip symbol. So this right here is the movie clip symbol. I'm going to drag it to my stage. And now we need to write some code to make this button work. Before I do that, I'm going to just insert blank keyframes here, and then I'm going to select that frame because that's where we are and that's where we need to put our code. We need to put that code exactly where we have on the layer where we have the button. And let's go ahead and go to actions. And to write your JavaScript codes, you need to use the comment block tags. Everything that you write, all the JavaScripting you do in Flash will be inside those tags. Even though it's a comment block tag, and for ActionScript uses it just to give us instructions on how you can manipulate a button. But for now, we have to use those comment blocks for JavaScript. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's go ahead and hit. So this is what the comment block tags looks like. We need to put our code in between here. So let's go ahead and hit space, write JS, hit enter, enter one more time, and we're going to write our code right here for the button. So we're going to say this, referring to the layer it's on. We're going to say on click equals function, brackets, semicolon. Well, actually, no semicolon, sorry about that. We're going to put left brace here, and then we're going to write what we want that button to do. So we're going to say this, go to, and this play. This is really, this part right here is very similar to action scripts that we have been doing. So then hit semicolon here, and then close it with the right brace. So this is it. There we have our code. Now, before I go on and publish it to show you guys what it looks like, what we need to do is we also need to stop our animation on the first frame. So what we'll do is we'll just hit enter and write that code in within the same tags. So we just say this stop brackets and semicolon. This is really simple. This is all you need to write, but you have to make sure it's within these comment block in JS. It's within these tags to stop your animation at any frame. So if you wanted to stop it at frame 30, you just need to write that code on that frame. So let's just close out of this and let's just see what happens. Let's hit publish. Now, sure enough, so we know the stop code is working because it stopped at the first frame. And when we click on play, and that's working as well, it's playing our animation. Let's see what happens. And now it just looped. So it took us back to the first frame. And it's for two reasons. The first reason was because when we published, we had loop checked. So if I just uncheck loop and publish again, it will stop at the last frame. Sure enough, it did. So let's close out of this. And let's go back to the timeline. Now, if you wanted it to not use the loop settings, there's another way of stopping your stopping your animation at the last frame is by just clicking on the last keyframe on the last frame, and then just go to window. Sorry about that. That's not what I was trying to open. Let's go to window and just go to actions again and use the comment block and write your code. JS this stop this period stop then brackets semicolon, and that's it. This is all you need to put there, and that would work as well. So I'm going to leave loop checked so that way we'll know that if that code didn't work, it would continue to loop. So let's just hit publish. Let's hit play. Sure enough, it works. So I'm just going to go ahead, close out of it, and go back to the timeline. And we're good. So we have created a really simple Flash animation using classic tween symbols and some JavaScript. So this concludes the tutorial for tonight. Thank you guys.